So here we are.
Yes.
Another ISTE.
Another ISTE.
So yesterday,
Yeah.
you were on a panel that I had the great pleasure of watching.
Yes.
It was everybody showcasing loads of ideas for AI. I kind of got the sense you couldn't resist getting a bit of XR in there as well. It kind of was like, what a surprise.
Yeah, that's true. It's hard because that's certainly my passion. I think the great job about that panel is everybody was coming from their own angles. Like, what was their passion and why they're bringing AI even into their profession, right? So I do a lot on the PR side to be able to publicize things that I do for my company. And so I do a lot on case studies and converting video content interviews into PR pieces like press releases or blogs or whatever it might be. So on that front, I think that there's a cool angle of being able to see how AI is benefiting us professionally. On the education side, of course, there is so much going on the XR, so augmented and virtual reality, that really when we talk about the metaverse, what is a metaverse without 3D assets? It's impossible. So what is happening through AI is ultimately eliminating the restrictions that you would typically face with time and expertise and really just understanding how to build something three-dimensional that would be useful in a classroom. So,
do you think though that it's almost like a sequence? There was kind of Web 3.0, there's AI, and they've almost been in ways accelerators for the conversation around XR.
That's right. And the only way we're going to see XR really explode is through these foundational pieces that have to be in place. Otherwise, you know, when I'm wearing my Meta glasses right now, right? So I have my Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I'm having conversations in them. I'm hearing notes, people sending me text messages. I'm getting notified. I'm capturing photos and videos. I'm able to live stream and, you know, hear music, whatever it might be. Right now, the missing element, of course, is seeing the things that we need to see. So right now, it's pretty limited. However, you have these glasses that are actually able to visualize things for people to see in front of them. And so if I'm blind, I can actually wear glasses and audibly hear an output of everything that I see in front of me in the landscape through these glasses, which is wild.
People forget sometimes. Just by the way, my glasses are running DOS.
Oh, yeah?
I'm still at the basics.
That's all right.
Line 10, print.
Those are the ones I have to wear when I actually want to read something.
But one of the things we talk about AI, we talk about absolutely, I think in our primary schools, one of my roles is chair of a multi-academy trust, so a cluster of schools in the UK.
Okay.
And we have all age and stage, from 4 through to 18, some are infant schools. And in our youngest cohort infant school, we have around the corner there class VR headsets. They have their iPads that they use for augmented reality.
Yeah.
And even our youngest learners at 4 and 5, it stimulates experience and vocabulary and things they want to discuss. And in a way, it's actually quite a leveler for children, irrespective sometimes of even the language, but also in terms of actually making learning accessible for the different learners. You know, seeing reading tools that adapt based on a child's stage, but the whole class can be on the same book. Just the language is adjusted to suit the learner's needs. Yeah, I think that's fab. And then when you add in the AI element, how we can bring that information together, how we can curate. I mean, I quite like project-based learning. Yeah. So I've seen quite a few schools where the students are creating well-being bots themselves, which I think is a fantastic way of thinking about content. Yeah. So do you see the conversation being slightly drowned out on? I can hear lots where we're talking about AI in the context of saving people time, and I see less of the conversation about these skills we're giving learners to use AI are actually the foundational skills that the workplace wants. Right,
100%. I mean, even think about training. Their future careers and how they're going to be training, we know is leveraging currently XR. But when we bring in the AI element to it to make it more personalized and actually helping and guide them to be better at whatever future, whether that be construction, whether that be, you know, food, whether that be, you know, technology, whatever that skill that they're acquiring, ultimately to have a one-on-one training with people to prepare them is unrealistic. It's been unrealistic for a long time. So either people are unequipped or it costs them a lot of money, and by the time you pay for that training, that person's gone. So at the end of the day, when we're looking at how training is going to support learners in any career that they're looking at, we definitely see a need for AI and AR and VR to be part of that process. I mean, it just makes sense for companies and it makes sense for the learner. At the end of the day, they're all going to be more equipped by having those resources.
I constantly say with our older students, traditionally we're all very much programmed about qualification attainment.
Yeah.
And I understand why, obviously.
Right.
But actually, increasingly in the workplace, we're focused much more on skills.
Yeah.
Critical thinking skills,
That's
metacognition, resilience, communication skills. And in a way, these technologies amplify the need for that human skill to be used in order to gain maximum benefit.
I was a terrible student. I got by. I didn't care to get good grades. There was nothing really getting me to want to get good grades. I didn't really realize I was a creative person and I could think outside that box until I got out of school. And it was at that point that I was like, well, hey, I could do this. I could do this better. I can do this totally different. But it was like that should have been something that was reinforced at a very early age, saying, wow, you really think outside the box. There's things you can think of that we haven't even considered before. And that's what education should be. It's helping those people really thrive and excel based upon the skills that they're bringing, the skills that they need to work on, but it's leveraging the skills that they currently have. And I think that oftentimes we don't have a teacher that can look at each individual student, right? So we all kind of get left in the back and we figure things out later on. But it was in the workforce that made me realize, wow, I could do better. I could do so much better. Like, what else can I do? You know, really gaining confidence.
Sadly, the education system somewhat trains out the desire to innovate. It almost persuades you not to try and fail. You follow a certain recipe.
Right.
And actually that means that many of our less academic learners feel like they're not achieving, but often have the skills that are most valuable in the workplace. It's an irony of flipping it around.
Well, it starts off like that when they're young, right? Very creative activities, hands-on, engaging, getting them familiar. And the older that they get, especially higher ed, the less they are concerned about that individual, but instead just regurgitating information that they're providing. And I think that's where we're really failing. I do think AI will help open up ideas for us to think differently about how education can function. And that, I think, is what some people lack because they have never practiced it. They've never practiced, how do I come up with a crazy idea to help this student understand this better? Because currently, I'm failing. I can't get it. What other ways can I present this information to them to help them? What are their skills? What are their interests? What are things? What do I have access to? What devices? What resources? What support? What training? Right? So when you can look at all those pieces and have AI generate some of those things that you need, then finding what tools are out there to ultimately create the different resources that the students might need to excel in. So there's definitely some opportunity there.
It's interesting. Certainly in the UK, government tends to follow about a year behind what's actually happening in the world. But there's more focus on the fear around AI than there is about the opportunity. And I'm really keen we don't forget the privacy considerations and what data we're sharing. But I often ask the question, when we search on a search engine, which we've done for years, most of us know that the result that comes top isn't always the most relevant result.
Right.
But we continue to use it, even though we understand there's algorithmically a weighting towards it.
Yeah.
When we go on social media and we talk about, like this week at ISTE, we're in our own echo chamber of our peers, and we see this positivity that's quite a bubble, yet we continue to use it. And I find there's this disconnect between the logic that allows us to continue to use social media tools for purpose, use search engines for research and resources, but understand we need to dig deeper. And then a sense that almost with AI, we can't apply those same rules, we should just steer clear.
I think you've always done a really fantastic job at that, actually, that you really don't just do a social post. You bring communities together, you bring knowledge of other people, and you kind of combine that and share those resources out. So I think that there are some people that have done a really good job and not just taking it and saying, this is what I want to know right now, this will help me use this, but instead having people around you to help you grow, to help them grow. And I think that's really what it is. Social media the point is to be in a community.
Absolutely.
And I think that oftentimes we get pretty narrowly focused on what is it about me and what am I going to gain out of this, when really it should be a place of giving too. And I think you do a great job.
That's very kind, thank you. I think it's about a growth mindset, isn't it?
Yes.
The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know.
Right, 100%.
And the more you recognize that if you surround yourself with people who are on a similar mindset and on a journey, you hope two things. They'll help you develop your knowledge on different areas. And also, I think just as important, they'll challenge your viewpoint. Because I don't want to be an echo chamber for everyone who says this is great. I want to share the viewpoints of people who say, I have concerns, or not yet, or why. Because I think we all benefit from having that kind of considered argument.
Right.
I mean, you share so many resources. You're kind of pretty much the go-to person on VR, or XR. I mean, it's like, but it is that sense of you have to build a community of people that you trust that aren't trying to push one view, but they're saying if you're interested, there's an interesting resource, there's another one, and so on.
And I think I probably lean on the side of caution more than I lean on the side of jumping right in. And I know that that's not popular, especially with AI. But at the end of the day, I mean, working for a company that deals with identity and access management, I have been able to visually see what the outputs are when we're giving away information about our students and how damaging that is to them as individuals, to our relationships in our communities, and into those people that have lost jobs as a process, right? So it shouldn't be us testing something. It should really be about us coming together and making sure that whatever technology we're using, and we're all on the same, we're hitting our goals, and we all are on the same path to make this successful together, as opposed to just taking it on my own and running into a lot of problems.
I mean, you need that check and balance. I mean, I love the fact that there's huge opportunity with AI, and absolutely when we think about XR and the tools and how we can engage different learners, different styles, different approaches to bring children together. But at the same time, I think it's nice that there's a consistent mindset that data and privacy is still the guiding light.
Right.
You know, and there's different ways you can find a safe space to adapt and utilize tools without blindly just sharing more and more data.
Exactly.
In fact, in most school systems around the world, the truth is there's already too much data, but ironically, most people aren't using it for purpose.
Yeah.
And actually,
that's true.
It's actually some of the advent of AI is about bringing within the confined space of a school district or a cluster of international schools, bringing different data together in a data pool that creates informed decisions that help shape intervention, support the learners. But it's about making sure that is unique to that school, it's not shared in things. Ideally, it's anonymised. In the UK, we typically say at the moment, use AI tools for lesson creation, content resources, but don't upload any personalised data. Because we know that's something we can't control.
Yeah, I would even take it a next step further, that I think it really should be managed by teachers. I think, obviously, overarching districts, of course, and organizations. But I think when it comes to handing something to our students without there being somebody sitting there with them and guiding. There's a school in Austin, Texas that actually has all students learning every day, just purely AI. And there's people just sitting there watching, and I'm thinking, what are you thinking? Yes, you're embracing this new technology, but how do we know that that information is accurate? And if you don't have somebody looking over the accuracy to protect our students from what knowledge that they're receiving, that's a really dangerous place. They shouldn't be learning new things. They should be reinforcing and supporting and growing in those areas of what they already know.
But isn't, for me, the most successful implementations I've seen in schools is where AI frees up time to allow more teacher-to-student interaction.
That's right.
More human interaction. So it becomes a lever, not a replacement or an alternative. Because that's where the magic happens. It's two human beings. And if AI can help reduce time on preparation, if it can help quickly analyze data, great. But you still need the human being to interpret that and shape the next step.
Well, and I was meeting with some teachers. I did a keynote on AI just a few weeks ago in Nebraska. And while I was meeting with them, I was saying, what happens when you get on with the robot on the phone and you have to ask a question of a company? I mean, how do you like that? And everybody's like, it's annoying. It's super annoying. even AI is embedded to help guide you along the path, but you get annoyed that they don't always understand exactly what you're trying to say. And then there's an annoyance in the fact that you just want to get there. If all you can do is just tell them exactly what you need and you got directly there. But there isn't. There's a pathway that you have to follow, right?
Yeah.
But when I'm talking to a computer, I'm not talking to them friendly. I'm just annoyed and let me get there, I'm saying it. But when somebody human gets on that phone with me and is guiding me, there's a totally different connection that I have with that human and a respect, right? That I don't have with the computer because they're not a person. So there's no way AI is ever going to take over our jobs. We need human-human connection.
I genuinely believe AI is the amplifier for those key human values.
Right.
And if we lose grip of that, we've lost grip of the foundations of what makes us human.
That's right.
Well, we've achieved the pat and we've fixed the world on AI. I really appreciate you taking time to stop by and have a chat. It's a pleasure, and keep on sharing all the amazing resources.
Thank you so
Love
much.
to see them all.
I appreciate it, Al. Thank you.